All right, ask and you shall receive, but I gotta warn you, my niece beat me in our pool last year, so please tail at your own risk. It's March. Things are crazy. Anything can happen. I know I watch a lot of college basketball. I'm happy that I got to dive deeper into a few of those matchups and my rationale, but these things come down to so many factors, and that's what makes March great. Because of the requests, here we go. I'm going to jump into it, and I don't have a lot of time to describe each of these, so I'm just going to kind of click through the bracket and describe maybe a little bit about why I picked what I picked, but not too much. First things first in the South, I got Auburn moving on. Louisville Creighton, that'll be a fun matchup today. Give me Louisville. I dove into this one a little bit deeper. I got Michigan there. Did the same thing with this matchup. I got Yale. A first four team normally moves on, at least one of them. I think North Carolina is going to be that team that moves on. I know Gilbert's down. Give me Curtis Jones to still carry Iowa State. I got Marquette beating the Lobos and Michigan State beating Bryant. This is a fun one. Auburn's going to be too much for Louisville, though. Michigan Yale and a Danny Wolf former team rematch. Give me Michigan. I got North Carolina moving on. That might be a little bit spicier of one of my picks, but also I think it might be pretty popular out of there. I know Chris Beard could easily go on this path as well, but I got North Carolina. I like RJ Davis, Elliot Cadeau. They got a nice team over there, and I think they're kind of gelling right now too. Give me Michigan State to move on. Auburn to beat Michigan. I think that could be a really close game. I really want to see this matchup. I hope it gets to it. And then give me Michigan State to move on as well, and Auburn to advance to the Final Four. All right, over in the East, Duke to win. I got Baylor here. Oregon with Biddle and Shellstad. I just think they'll be too much for Liberty. Give me Arizona as well. BYU, VCU. If I dove into this more, I could see myself maybe even picking VCU depending on the styles. I didn't really look into it too much, and I've only watched a couple games of each of these teams. I got BYU. Give me Wisconsin to beat Montana. I know Vanderbilt's a popular pick. I think St. Mary's is a good team. And I got Alabama here. Give me Duke to beat Baylor. This one's a tough one. I think Arizona will move on. They've been just getting better as the year's gone on. I got Wisconsin to beat BYU and then Alabama. And give me Duke to beat Arizona. And then I'll take Wisconsin to beat Alabama. I think I probably would have taken Alabama out of here. I don't like that nagging injury to Nelson, who was probably their best performer in last year's tournament. So I'm going to go with Wisconsin to be a Big Ten team that makes it all the way to the Elite Eight. Obviously, Tanjay's been a bit of a problem for teams to cover as well. Give me Florida to move on. I got UConn. I really would have taken this Memphis team deep without the injuries. I'm kind of bummed about that one. I really like this Memphis team and what Hardaway's doing over there. This could really be a close one. I got Maryland. Drake's a tough defensive team. I got Missouri moving on. Texas Tech, nice shooting team. I think they move on there. This will be a fun one to watch. Kansas and Hunter Dickinson moving on. St. John's. And probably the biggest differentiator in my bracket comes right here. I got UConn beating Florida. Danny Hurley is a absolute coaching genius. I know Golden and Florida's got those guys playing well. This might not make any sense, but Liam McNeely can get hot from outside. And to win in some of these bigger pools, you normally got to pick a thing or two that's really going to separate yourself. So I got the two-time defending national championship team moving on there. Got Maryland here. Missouri, I really like their togetherness. They're a tough team. I think they'll get out on the three-point line and really defend Texas Tech and give them trouble. I got St. John's moving on here. Give me UConn to beat Maryland. And then I got St. John's beating Missouri and St. John's moving on to the Final Four and beating UConn for the third time this year. All right, Midwest, Houston. I got Gonzaga beating Georgia. Clemson beating McNeese. I know that's a popular one. And then I did a video on this one. You guys know I like Purdue there. Give me Illinois to beat Xavier. Underwood and Sean Miller is a fun coaching matchup. I got Kentucky to beat Troy. UCLA beating Utah State. And Tennessee beating Wofford. I almost took a second 8 seed here. But the reason I didn't is because Georgia could beat Gonzaga. And Georgia's beat some good teams this year. And I just don't like the idea of Gonzaga maybe losing to Georgia. And then all this is X'd out for me. Got Houston moving on. You may know I like this Purdue team a lot. I love Braden Smith and TKR, but I got Clemson. Illinois, Kentucky. I hope this matchup happens because I think it'll be fun as well. And then probably the second biggest differentiator in my bracket, I have UCLA beating Tennessee. Mick Cronin and those guys have been playing really good ball. They have height. Bilodeau's a great power forward. They have guards that like to get downhill. I think this game's more of a toss-up than a lot of people would assume, and because of that, I'm going to go with UCLA. UCLA, Kentucky. I think UCLA is a dark horse 7-seed team. And then give me Houston moving on up top and Houston to advance. So when I get down to my Final Four, didn't add Duke. I got Duke beating Wisconsin. Get down to my Final Four. I have Auburn, St. John's, Duke, and Houston. I got Auburn beating St. John's, Duke, beating Houston. And to win my national championship and avenging their loss from earlier this year, not avenging their loss, losing again. I got Duke. I think they have the easiest path. The thing is, I like Auburn, but I don't like that Auburn would have to beat Michigan State, potentially beat Michigan. I just think they have a tougher path to get there. And so, because I think Duke's the most likely to be in the Final Four, obviously Cooper Flag, but Knipple, like they have pieces everywhere. Proctor's a nice point guard. I know they're young. This matchup is a lot of fun if it goes down because you have transfer portal older guys in Auburn, but then you have like the traditional freshman stars, 5-star recruits in Duke. I think this national championship has a lot of fun storylines, and I hope it goes down. And then final score, who cares about that? I got 161, let's say there. But yeah, I got Duke and the Blue Devils and John Shire getting his first national championship. Final disclaimer. Absolutely none of this could happen, and I have as good of a chance as you, and the madness is what makes March so fun. But since I had like 10, 20 requests for my bracket, I wanted to get it out there and squeeze it in before the tournament started. So here it is. I got the Duke Blue Devils.